Hello and welcome to our first generation career talk, part two. This time we have a panel of first generation women. My name is Derek Jackson. I am program specialist with the Office of Undergraduate Education for the first generation student programs here at UT Dallas. I'm joined today by Eric Green, career consultant at the UT Dallas Career Center. This event will be moderated by, Katherine. And at this time, I would like to hand it off to our moderator. Thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Katherine Thames. I'm a senior biomedical engineering student here at UTD, and I figured we could get started with some introduction. If each of you could say your name, where you went to school, and what you currently do, and then we'll just continue to answer the questions in that order.
I can go first. Hi, this is Diana Reyes. I graduated from Arizona State University in 2017 with a degree in computer science. I worked as a developer and currently now more of a PM role with Accenture that I've been with for 3 years now as a business integration arc analyst.
Okay, I'll go next. My name is Lucero Ramirez. I'm doing my doctorate right now at Biomedical Engineering at UT Dallas. And I got my undergrad in chemistry at UTPA.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jocelyn. I graduated from Arizona State University in 2019 with a bachelor's in biomedical engineering. And I currently work at BD as a manufacturing quality engineer for stents and grafts.
Hello, everyone. My name is deyzi.ixtabalan. I graduated from Arizona State University in 2013, and I am currently a manufacturing engineer for Northrop Grumman.
Cool. Okay, for our first question, we have, where are you from and what was your experience with college growing up?
I guess I'll go. I'm from South Texas, so I come from McAllen, Texas. I am very Hispanic. I grew up very Hispanic. So I did go to a magnet school, but after that, my dad didn't really want me to pursue a college education, let's say. He wanted more where I could kind of get married and that's it. But I wanted to go to college because I wanted to pursue education, of course, and I wanted to go the medical route, and that was for me.
Oh, I can go next. I am from Phoenix, Arizona. Born and raised and lived here my whole life. So my family was very much similar. They were very conservative, traditional type parents. I mean, they grew up from the ranchos in Mexico, and then lived here in Arizona for much of their life. And the idea of college wasn't really there at all. It was more I kind of had maybe some relatives that were going in that route, but overall, there wasn't that many people that even graduated from high school, so the idea wasn't really there. But for me personally, I got a lot of pressure to attend higher education from my parents. From the very beginning, they're like, you're gonna make it, you're gonna do something. So, and I got a lot of pressure from my relatives. I don't know why. Sometimes I feel like I was singled out sometimes, but I actually was, even though we didn't know what it was something that I was kind of pressured to go for.
So I was born in Sinaloa, Mexico, in a little town called Guasave. And I lived there until I was about 10 years old. And then I came to the US and did up to sophomore year of high school. And then I moved back to Mexico for a year and a half. And then came back, finished high school, and then completed college. So I've kind of been all over the place. I've experienced a lot of different schools and education systems. And I think that's what made me want to just choose something that I really enjoyed, because I just had to deal with a lot of changes. So I just wanted to finally have time to focus on something that I enjoyed. So college was a perfect opportunity for me. In my case, half my family was supportive. The other half, like my father, he didn't really believe that I could do engineering. He would always tell me, why don't you just go for like accounting or maybe like a business major that's a little bit easier for you, but you a lot of money. So he was more worried about me making money. But then I was like, no, I actually don't really care that much about money. I really want to do something that I enjoy. And I'm so glad that I went with my gut instinct and chose something in engineering, because now I absolutely enjoy what I do. And every day that I go to work, it doesn't feel like a chore. It feels like, wow, I'm actually building devices that are going into people. That's like it's like a dream for me, honestly.
So for me, I was born and raised in Phoenix, Arizona. And for me, it was more relaxed. So my parents did instill that higher education. Granted that they didn't graduate high school. So that was one of the big motivators of them at least graduating high school. And the college idea was there. And they tried to be as supportive as they could in terms of what they knew. But since a lot of that was, it was more of me trying to figure out what I wanted to do. They never really pushed me into one direction or another. Whatever made me happy was what my dad used to always tell me, just find that place that will make you happy, whatever it is, just go for it. Like, as long as you can live off of it, you'll be fine. So it was a little bit more relaxing versus some of the other experiences.
Okay, and then what was your perception of college before attending? You all kind of touched on, some of your family of attending and some of them not. So I assume most of you have a different perception of what it was. And then how did that change once you actually attended college?
I guess I could go first. So none of my parents had no education whatsoever. So how I said it wasn't like kind of reachable goal for me, but because of going to a magnet school, that's what kind of drove me. And for me, it was like I could change as a person and gain respect by gaining a degree. So it was me. I think that was for me. And then I guess I still kind of agree with myself in high school. I still think it's like when you get your degree, you have a little bit more like, what's it called? Like high standards for yourself. And I think it was proving it to me and to proving it to others that I could actually do it. So I still agree with myself.
So I think for my case, I've always been really curious since I was a child. So I needed to go into a career that would always challenge me. And in high school, I joined the International Baccalaureate program. So I also went to a magnet school, and I had to take a bus for like 45 minutes just so I could attend that high school. It was a struggle. But being in that program, like I had to take a bunch of advanced classes, and I was pushed by my teachers, and my peers were also very intelligent, very hardworking. So I was in that environment of like people who wanted to succeed and have that support. Even though I'm an only child and I didn't have parents who went to college, I used them as mentors. So I got really close to my robotics teacher, my science teachers, my bio teacher, and I would just ask them questions. I'm like, what do you think about, me going into medicine or things like that? So they were always really supportive, and that's what really got me to apply to college and apply to the honors program there at the honors program at ASU, and getting all the scholarships that I needed. Even though I didn't have any financial support at all whatsoever from my family, I kind of found a way. So getting to college was a little bit of I don't know, it was a culture shock for sure. I was used to a predominantly Hispanic school. Like I think 80% of the students in high school were Hispanic. So going to college, especially honors program, where I think in a lot of cases I was the only non-white student in the class, was pretty shocking, but yeah, I got through it. I joined SHIP the ASU, which is the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, my very first semester of freshman year, and with them I really found a family, and I started using them as mentors. And then now it's kind of like a cycle. Now I'm mentoring students. So yeah, college was a surprise, but I think I just try to make the best with what I had.
And I can really relate to Jocelyn's story there. Like I actually met Jocelyn through SHIP, so I was able to have like that same experience where I went to college and I was like, well, where's like all the Hispanics, like, and where's all my people at? And so then that's where I looked up a Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, and I attended their meeting. And since then, I've been glued to them, and it's been like family. And I met friends, I met peers, I've had mentors. So I had that very similar experience. But for me, growing up in terms of before I started college, I'm completely honest, I had no idea what to expect. I didn't really have anyone that went to college, or even if I did, I didn't really communicate to those relatives very well. I didn't really know them that well. And so my perception was just like, I don't know what to expect, but all I had to do is get there some way, somehow. And so I worked so hard to just, in high school, I worked so hard that that transition wasn't really difficult in terms of workload. In high school, I did all the AP courses, all the honors courses. I was like, what else do I need to do so that I can like get into college? Because I had no mentors at that time. I didn't know who to talk to, and I didn't know what to expect. And even when I started at that high school that I was in, that itself was a bit of a cultural shock because I was actually a minority at that high school. I grew up in West Phoenix, but then when I moved all the way to the West Valley, I was one of like the only one Hispanics in my class. Until I got to high school, I saw more and more, but it was all about getting ready for college, and it was all so much new to me. So I did all that I could. I tried to stay after school for extracurricular activities. I did everything, but I realized I might have overwhelmed myself a bit too much. But it was just, I didn't know what to expect. So, and so even like with filling out FAFSA, I was like, what do I have to do? And again, my parents don't even know what to expect. So it's having that transition and having to talk to them was also a bit difficult to let them know the unknown almost too. So once I got to college, the workload wasn't difficult as much. It was a good transition. But again, it was another cultural shock because I was like, I'm the only one. And then on top of that, I went to the Barrett honors class and I was definitely the only one. I was like, I don't know anyone here. So it took a lot of time to adjust to the cultural setting, and then it did for the work environment, at least in my case.
I can definitely relate to both Jocelyn and Diana. I actually didn't know anything about college. It wasn't until high school that an opportunity came up to join the Math Honors Science program at ASU. And that's kind of how I got exposed to college. It was where you go in, you take a math class. It was very structural, so it kind of prepared you for that mentality of like the workload that you have to do. Versus in high school where things were a little bit more relaxed, just because I came from a Title 9 school. So I was advanced, but there's only so much you can do. There was only so much resources you had. So they did the best they could, and as much they prepare us as much as they could. So just going into that program definitely helped out. That I was able to meet more people, but the culture shock of going to the university was actually very high because I no longer had those friends that I had made. They all went to different either colleges or disciplines. So at that point, I was really alone, and I didn't realize that I needed those mentors until maybe 2 years after university, where I was at that point where I wasn't sure if I was going to make it or not. And that's kind of how I reached out to SHIP. I knew someone in there. They pushed me to go to the first meeting, and I went. And like Diana said, it's my family. I still talk to them. One of my best friends I met through there. I still talk, like all these great opportunities that have come is by staying with that familia. And now I'm like giving back. Now I'm president of our chapter. But yeah, college for me was definitely overwhelming experience and something new because I didn't know. I didn't know what was out there and what I needed to do.
Okay, you all kind of touched on this, which I was really happy about, but I wanted to ask, how did you deal, once you got to college, how did you deal with the stress and the culture shock, and kind of how you all mentioned that you had a positive outlet for yourselves, like joining different groups and clubs, and how do you think that changed your entire college experience? Because I know, especially in engineering, we can get kind of like tunnel vision and we only have to worry about school. We only have to worry about our studies, and it can be difficult to step out of that and make friends. So, um, what was what were things that allowed you to relieve the pressure, relieve the stress, kind of like the clubs that you mentioned?
I can go ahead and start. So as mentioned, that when I first got to the campus, I didn't know anyone. It was again, even and just to go back to that other question, I went to high school and I thought all of us, or a majority of us, were going to go to college. And then when I got there, I was like, wow, a lot of people didn't actually go to college. So it's interesting because I felt even more alone. But so once I joined SHIP, I felt more like, okay, we're all navigating through this together. We all have this shared, like, even background, because it was Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. I didn't feel so alone. But I will say that it was really, really difficult to find those outlets because my mind was so focused on I need to graduate, I need to succeed, because you have that idea of like it's not just for you, but again it's for your family. Again, it was hard to even let that positive, to have that outlet. I want to say that I really didn't have anything else besides SHIP, because again it was just so difficult to have that transition, and so difficult to move away is one thing too, from parents and from your family who are so used to having you at home and so wanting you to come back. So I was also just so busy with work that to be honest, I wish I had more outlets for that. I let a lot of things take over me, stress, and I didn't allow myself to express that or even let that out or even communicate that out, because you're young and you don't know what else to do besides do the work and graduate. So I will say I didn't have that many and I wish I did, but now I can tell other people ways to do that.
I guess I could go next. So I didn't like join an organization that was like geared for a specific like uh, ethnicity or anything or race. I joined student government. I was a senator at large for my university, and I joined that because I usually get nervous when talking in front of people. So I would use that as an outlet for that, especially because I wanted to go towards like medical like route. I was going to see patients like constantly, so I didn't want to be like awkward or anything like that. But it was a really large group, and they're still my friends to this day. And it was stress free. It was like an outlet to relieve stress. I also joined PRIM. It's called a Partnership for Research and Education in Material Science, and I was able to get a REU with that. So I went to Minnesota, and that's where I think my doctorate came into place, because I was getting really focused into research, and that helped me gear the path towards what I'm doing now. So I'm very thankful for that.
So I think for me, so I started off volunteering with SHIP in outreach. So I went to the first meeting and I heard that they were going to a high school in Phoenix and just do like an activity with the students. And I was like really excited because I'm like, wow, I really want to help out, because by helping the younger generation, it just made me feel like I could do it. I don't know how to explain it exactly, but it just gave me a good feeling that if I'm in a position now that I can go and mentor someone who is maybe a couple years younger than me, then that means I am capable of being in college and succeeding and getting my degree. So starting off that in my freshman year was definitely one of the best things I could have chosen to do. So I continued, I mean, to this day, I still do outreach. And another thing that I also had was a scholarship program called Dorrance Community Scholarship. And every month they would do an activity with all of us. We were all first generation students from Phoenix Union High School District. So we had a lot in common. And they just trained us, well, not trained us, but they